Hey guys, welcome back to Travel Check-ins with Saida
and Jermaine.
Today we're going to be breaking down our September budget as new American expats in Kenya. I'm Saida and we decided to move from America, sell all of our stuff and move here to Nairobi, Kenya. Let us first tell you why we decided to move to Kenya. The reason I decided to move to Kenya was because we had done some mission work here and we would come for 15 days at a time. And the first time I got here, I was like, I could see myself living here. And I told Jermaine about it and Jermaine was like, absolutely not. So we had done a mission trip another time after that and I had already completely put it out of my mind. But I think he kind of was maybe thinking about it by that time. So that's what brings us here.
The reason I moved here is, well, missions is number one. We're faith-based people, so missions is always going to be number one. Number two is I like the people here. I like the culture. I like pretty much everything about the country. So, and number three is I like traveling. I like seeing different people, different things. So this fits in the mold.
Okay, so now we're going to tell you what our main concerns were about budgeting before we moved here. And the biggest concern was our income versus expenses.
As a provider, I guess you want to call it, I had to change what I do for a living. So I had to basically quit my job and depend on something that I've never done before. So the bills was my biggest concern. Everything else, kids are grown. I don't care about anything else, but being able to eat and have a shelter over my head, our head, that was the biggest thing for me.
So now we want to talk about a little bit about our American bills. We're going to do a full video on our American bills where we break down what we're spending for American bills versus Kenya bills. But today's video is specifically about our Kenya budget for this month.
I think like the typical American, you have a mortgage or a rent, your cell phone, those little lingering bills when you move, leftover water bill, leftover light bill, things like that. Nothing out of the ordinary.
We do still have bills in America and we do have new bills here in Kenya. So now we're going to get into our Kenya bills because this is what you guys came to the video for. You want to know exactly what we are paying for our Kenya expenses. And the first thing we're going to talk about is our health insurance. We're paying $250 for the health insurance that covers all of our health care benefits outside of the US. We do still have our health insurance in America, but we also have health insurance that covers for any international incidences. And we cannot tell you whether or not it's good or whether it's reliable. We have not had to use it, thank God, and we hope to never have to use it. But with us being 50 and 47, it just makes sense for us to have insurance outside of the country. We're not like really young people and we want to make sure we're covered in case of any kind of incidences, right?
Yes. Our rent is basically $2,200 a month. You can find cheaper rent. We just found that this is the closest thing to our lifestyle before we left. We hear a lot of people on YouTube say they find cheaper things. I mean, we were in an Airbnb, it was cheaper, but the
quality of living.
Yeah, quality of living was different. So we're back at this place.
Yeah, I think for us, and you have to decide for you what it's going to be like. For us, we wanted to, especially like just being here, new back into the country, and then now living here full time and not here with our missions team or with a missions group. We wanted to be able to live very similar to how we live in America in terms of accommodations and lodging, because we do work from home, and noise was one of the things at the Airbnb. That wasn't really conducive to us being able to work. So yeah, our rent is about $2,200 per month.
Again, if you want to, you can pay $300 and up. We just don't want to do it ourselves right now. So you have to make a decision when you come what you want your quality of life to be in. We're from South Carolina, so that's really not cheap for an apartment there. But if you're from New York, Boston, LA, something like that, then hey, it's a bargain for you.
Right. And so we're coming from a low cost of living area, and then we're coming here. So in actuality, we are paying a little bit more for our accommodations than we did when we were back home. And a lot of people like to say, oh, it's so cheap to live in Kenya. It depends on how you live. And even if you live like an entry-level middle-class person, like coming from America to come here, it's not really cheap. I don't know where they got this idea.
I think it can be cheap. It's just according to what you want. Like, they have cheap, they have expensive. You can get in a place $5,000 a month if you want to, but we just find for us that's not where we are right now. This is a nice place. I would like cheaper.
Now we're going to talk about rideshare. So we budgeted this month $150 for rideshare. I think we're paying on average about $5 a day using Uber. Now there is cheaper options. We could use Boda. And Boda is just a motorcycle taxi. We could also use Matatus, which is the public bus. But right now we're using Ubers because that just works for our lifestyle. The other expense is going to be restaurant expenses, which we budgeted at $150.
And the restaurants here are cheaper. A lot of times, yeah, the food for the most part is better quality. Just to be honest with you, more natural ingredients. But you have to set a budget.
So the next part of our budget is grocery budget, and the grocery budget is set at $400 a month, which is very close to our budget in America. Like when we combine groceries and restaurant budget here, it's very close to our budget in America. Hopefully we can come in under budget, but we are budgeting 400 USD for groceries. And I've found so far that groceries are actually more affordable here and better.
Depends on what you get, because some things, like we had butter, it was 50% higher here from what
Dairy is higher here. Dairy is higher. Cheese, butter, probably yogurt, probably not milk, but cheese and butter are definitely more expensive here in Kenya. What else we have?
Our data plan. We are using Safaricom. We tried Airlo, which Airlo is nice, but Safaricom for Kenya is probably a better option. You get a little data, and you also get airtime, text, things like that. And we're paying $14 a month for both of us, so that's a no-brainer.
And the other benefit is that you get a Kenya telephone number, and you need a Kenya telephone number for M-Pesa, right?
Oh yes, you need that M-Pesa. Because
M-Pesa is just mobile cash. Kenya operates on almost a cashless society. You have to either pay with your credit card or your M-Pesa. So you have to pay with digital money, and it's transferred from phone number to phone number. So
it's like Cash App.
It's just like Cash App. It's just like Cash App or Venmo or Zelle.
It's simple once you know what you're doing.
So the total amount for our September budget is $3,165. We are going to try to come in at $3,165 or less. We would love for us to come in at less. But when we look at the budget and everything that we mentioned to you guys, that is what the total is. Now, let's do a comparison of living costs. So we're going to kind of talk about America costs versus Kenya costs.
Well, we kind of budgeted before we left. We were budgeting people. We kind of did the Dave Ramsey thing. So we kind of kept our bills under control. So living here is probably about the same amount. It might be a little cheaper living here, but overall, it's not a big change for us.
It's not like we're saving a whole bunch of money by living here. So let's talk about, what do we find to be more expensive, less expensive, or comparable? So what's more expensive here?
Like we said earlier, coming from South Carolina, the rent is a little more expensive.
Now, let me tell you something I found to be more expensive. Like hair care products if you go to the wrong store, or like medicines if you go to the wrong store. Yeah. If you shop in the Westlands, something that should be $5, a medicine that should be $5, you can be charged $45 for it. Charcoal pills to be exact. We went to the pharmacist and charcoal pills were $45. We went to Carrefour, the grocery store, and we saw them on the shelf for $5.
Yeah.
So some things can be more expensive.
But Uber is a lot cheaper. It's probably half the cost.
Uber is so inexpensive. So when we talk about taking Ubers every day, y'all, we was talking about $5. So let's talk about how we adjusted our budget, how we're adjusting our budget for the first month in Kenya, and what tools or methods do we use to track our spending. As far as adjusting our budget for the first month of Kenya, we're really just making sure we're taking into account every dollar we spend. And the tool that we use is Every Dollar by Dave Ramsey. What challenges do we think we'll face managing our budget during the first month?
Just staying within the budget, just because food is cheaper, not just ordering that extra thing or, oh man, this is so cheap, let's go ahead and get that. No, you want to kind of play it for the long haul.
Yeah, be prudent with your finances, right?
Right.
Yeah, don't just come over here throwing away shillings and just throwing out shillings everywhere just because you're like, oh, this feels like monopoly money. Even if you're just constantly using your M-Pesa or using your car, you definitely want to know where every dollar is going. And I know we sit down every day to see, okay, what did we spend today? What are we spending today? And we are tracking those things.
I want to go back to something, the rent thing, because I want people to keep in mind, because people could come here, think they're going to spend a little bit of money and then leave and say, oh, I hate Kenya. It just wasn't up to my quality of life. When you come with the idea that you may pay the same thing you're paying home.
Absolutely.
And you'll probably be pleasantly surprised. But just come with that mindset so you won't leave here hating the country, because this country is, so far, it's been great to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do we find any financial benefits to living in Kenya?
Not really, just to be honest with you. Like I said, we do style cost of living, especially our rent. Yes. But since we didn't do that, no.
Absolutely. So what tips do we have for other Americans considering to move to Kenya, especially regarding budget?
Be realistic. Kenya can be inexpensive, but it expensive at the same time. Mm-hmm. So just come with being realistic. That's all. Yeah,
and just make sure you get your financial management and budgeting skills together before you come, because how you manage your money, in the U.S. will be reflected in how you manage your money in Kenya, whether it's U.S. dollars or Kenya shillings or any other kind of dollar. You want to make sure you know where your money is going and that you're getting the most bang for your buck. The other thing is also, don't come over here expecting America. Stuff is different. This is not America. This is Kenya, and things are different here. We're going to create a do's and don't video of Kenya so you can kind of be aware of, what things are different here, what things are the same. But yeah, don't come expecting America, because this is not America. I know some people do these videos where they're like, Nairobi is the new New York, and Nairobi is the new Nairobi. Right. We've been here over the last decade a couple of times, and it's always growing and becoming different. Right. I was born and raised in New York. Nairobi is not New York. New York is not Nairobi. They're two separate places, and they bring different things to the table. So guys,
I like Nairobi more than New York.
I do too. I do too. So, and hey, it is what it is.
New York is fine. I love the food, all that, but I just prefer Nairobi.
Yes. So we are enjoying ourselves here in Kenya. We are loving it here. If you guys have any questions or comments, let us know down in the comment section below. If there's a video you want to see us do a topic on or anything, just let us know down in the comment section, and make sure you subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to like and share this video with as many people as you can. We will catch you guys in the next video.